Just talking about the Beatles. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but because of that Get Back documentary that was on, I think it was Disney in November, I didn't see it, and I'm a Beatles ignoramus really, apart from you can't avoid them. And I just wanted to talk about them because now I find them fascinating, and I can't believe that I'm just hearing a lot of the songs now rather than, well, they broke up 50 years ago. But it's just amazing the effect they've had on Western culture. They are basically the Shakespeare of modern culture, really, I suppose, modern Western culture. And I'm going to watch Get Back sometime. I would imagine, I don't have Disney, but I imagine hopefully it'll be on Amazon sometime. And I guess it'll be pretty expensive because there'll be a lot of older people that'll be buying it, and the people who want to buy it or really want to see it. So, and I imagine it'll be £10 or something. But I'll look out for that. But I heard the Nagra tapes, which is a lot of the audio that was used for Get Back, the documentary. And it was just fascinating, you know, how creative they were. And there are 3 songwriters in a group of 4. And Ringo as well, done 1 or 2, which were actually really good. I mean, Octopus's Garden. And just their whole attitude, it was just incredible. And that was them just about to break up as well. I don't think they lasted another year. That was January '69. They officially broke up in April '70, but really they didn't really see each other again hardly ever in the last year, I don't think. Even though they done Abbey Road after that documentary. But it's just incredible the effect they've had in culture, and it's incredible that their music's still so fresh now. It's just as good now as it was 60 years ago now. Yeah, it's 60 years ago. It'll be 60 years ago this November that they had their first hit, Love Me Do. And it's just incredible because I think the 60s might be peak, what would you call it? Peak change of modern culture. I don't think, if you look at the 60s, because it literally started in black and white and ended in colour because of the TV, that's how you saw it. And so when the Beatles were first around, they were in black and white, and then they ended in colour. But even just seeing clips from Get Back, it's amazing. They just look as if it's today, almost. They just look so alive and modern, and it's just incredible. Because when you think maybe 20 years before that, they may have been going about in old suits and a bonnet or something like that. But in that, they were going about in pink jackets or whatever, or feathered jackets as George was wearing or whatever. And even just to have that concert up on the rooftop, what a genius idea. And it was just one of those things, because they were meant to go to Tripoli or something. They had a big plan to do a big concert, and that got scrapped. And I think partly because Ringo was doing a movie and within 3 weeks or 4 weeks or something. It'd be ironic if Ringo helped them break up, but I don't think he did really. But so they were in a bit of a rush with all these new songs, and Paul even made up Get Back on screen while you watched it, because they had the documentary. People were around. I think they had about 60 hours of footage. They were around all the time, and even if you can hear the Nagra tapes, it's called NAGRA, and that's the type of recorder that was being used for the audio. And you'll see it on YouTube. There's lots. I don't know how many hours, 16, but it's probably more than that. Probably 30. I've listened to most that I could find, and it was just fascinating. So, and sometime I'll talk about the Beatles just the way they evolved. They evolved at the same time as society evolved to what it is today, really. It's really the same. I mean, personally, I would say music stopped changing after New Romance. That shows how sort of basic my thing was. But then it just kept sort of, I mean, there was rap after that, but for me it stopped around about New Romance, and then maybe the music stopped around about 84. There's been good bands since then. I would say the last good band was the Stone Roses, and a lot of people like Oasis and Blur, well, mostly Oasis, but I didn't like either of them really. I'm not, I mean, I could listen to an album or whatever of Oasis, but I was never a big fan. I find them really two-dimensional, so then I never really connected with them. But yeah, back to the Beatles again. It's just amazing how much they crammed into those 7 years, even though they'd done a lot before that as well, because they were in Hamburg 1960, and I think they got together around about 58 or something. And at first they were a five band, I think, because they had Stuart Sutcliffe and is it Pete Best as a drummer. So they had three guitarists and a bass guitarist, is that right? Yeah. And Paul McCartney must have agreed to become the bass guitarist, which was very honourable of him. And what a bass guitarist he is, he's one of the most creative I can think of. And he'd been one of the most creative now, but at that time, I mean, it was so melodic what he was coming up with. I suppose because he was really a guitarist, but he was kind of coming up, and you could call them lead bass guitar almost. It was just so good. And sometimes he did do lead guitar in songs. He done the lead in Taxman, which was George Harrison's song. Yeah, it was. But I really want to see that Get Back documentary about making of Let It Be. They were actually going to do a concert in Tripoli or whatever. Then he didn't go. I mean, I don't think Ringo wanted to leave the country, and also he had a movie coming up he was going to be making, the Magic Christian or something. Because I've been reading about them ever since. And the other thing is, I'd say about 3 or 4 years ago, I couldn't find any songs on YouTube by the Beatles. I would guess any did get uploaded, get removed, and there was nothing on their channel. But since about 2019, you can get every song on their channel, I think, and it's just amazing. I like to think that Paul McCartney had something to do with that. Maybe he managed to get the rights or something and wants people to listen, because it means you can listen to any Beatles song now on YouTube. I think, I don't think you can listen to an AC/DC. They're still holding it, I think. Although I have watched one or two of theirs. But the Beatles now, I think you can get the whole catalogue. And it's just incredible how creative they were, even for their time. Not just for their time, they would be creative even now, but I mean, doing those harmonies, I mean, that could be a disaster. It could turn out like a barbershop choir quartet or something. But it just sounded so great when they done it. And then the licks they were coming up for the songs, just, they always get a bit of magic into a song, even just an ordinary song. Like their first 4 or 5 LPs, I think they were doing 2 a year or something. The first ones were a lot of covers, which were good, but it's all pretty boring now to listen to, but it's still good, and it's still got magic bits in it, and there's some real magical ones there, like Nowhere Man and Drive My Car and stuff. And then they were really getting into the swing with Rubber Soul, I think, and then with Revolver, and then Sergeant Pepper, that psychedelic period from, I think it was from about 65 to 70, they say, but Sergeant Pepper was 67, but it's seen as a sort of the main thing from that time, and that could have been a disaster as well, even just visually, but it ended up cool. It's amazing how they always ended up cool. Even Magical Mystery Tour, which I want to see, and it's just a great curtain raiser song, that Magical Mystery Tour. So is Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Heart Club Band, just great curtain raiser songs. But yeah, look out for the Nagra tapes on YouTube if you haven't seen Get Back. And I'm looking forward to seeing Get Back whenever it's on Amazon or wherever it'll be selling. I'll probably talk a bit more about the Beatles later.